Stretchy, magical, effortlessly cool, and without a doubt, one of the strongest characters in Adventure Time. On the surface, it might seem like Jake's powers are all about fun. He can stretch his limbs across entire valleys, shapeshift into just about anything, and crush enemies without even trying. All pretty ridiculous, right? But here's the thing, these feats, they're just the bare minimum of what Jake's capable of. Because the deeper you go into the series, the more you realize that Jake isn't just strong, he's bending biology, breaking the rules of magic, and maybe even warping reality itself, all while just staying chill about it. And each version of Jake, each is way stronger than the previous one. So today we're asking one question: how strong is Jake really? By the end, you might just realize Jake isn't just strong. I have a theory that he might be the most powerful, most reality-breaking being in all of OO. But before we dive into Jake's cosmic dream god level, let's start with a little perspective here. Because in an alternate reality, known as the Farm World timeline, Jake is just a dog. No stretching, no morphing into cop equipment, no casually turning into a house. Just a loyal, scruffy pup hanging out with a much gruffer version of Finn. In the episodes Finn the Human and Jake the Dog, we meet this version of Jake, and he's exactly what you'd expect a normal dog to be. He barks, he runs, he nuzzles, and that's about it. And honestly, he's a great dog, loyal, dependable, ride or die. But it makes you realize something, that our Jake, he's not like that. So, now that we've established what Jake could have been, let's start exploring what he actually became. At his most basic level, Jake is already kind of busted. He can stretch his body into practically any shape or size, turning his limbs into weapons, tools, or vehicles on the fly. He can grow to the size of a building, shrink small enough to fit inside of a teacup, and flatten himself into a pancake without breaking a sweat. Need to pick a lock? Jake just turns his hand into a key. Need to shoot an arrow? He stretches his arm into a perfect bow. In Jake vs. Meow, he's poisoned with enough venom to take down 50 dogs. And what does he do? Casually enlarges his liver 51 times its normal size to take care of it.
Big liver! Big liver! Yeah!
Or how about in Evicted, where Jake survives an attack by literally shrinking and relocating all his internal organs and blood into his left thumb.
Nah, before she bit me, I used my powers to shrink all my guts and blood over my thumb.
That's not just stretchy, that's anatomical mastery over his biology. And that still isn't all he's good for. Jake's body is built different, literally. He can rearrange his bones, twist his spine, isolate muscle groups, and even move people through his body like a tunnel. We still haven't covered his combat style yet, which is pure magical brawn. He doesn't use swords like Finn. He doesn't need to. He'll just grow massive and sit on you. If you think he can't use any weapons though, he definitely can. In Mystery Train, disguised as the conductor, Jake briefly wields a sword and skateboards across a moving train like it's no big deal. And in terms of dog stuff, this guy's nose is a cheat code. In the Enchiridion, he smells the location of a hidden book inside a castle from miles away.
I can smell the book right through this door. It's in the castle on top of the mountain. In a room. Wish you had one, huh?
And in the Chamber of Frozen Blades, he casually tells us that his sense of smell is 1,000 times better than Finn's.
Nah, man, my sense of smell is like 1,000 times better than yours.
Which isn't all that impressive actually, as real-life dogs apparently have a sense of smell that's 10,000 to 100 times thousand more acute than humans. But here's the real twist. Even at this level, Jake is holding back. Series creator Pendleton Ward has confirmed that Jake doesn't know the full extent of his powers. He's kind of just lazy with them. He fights only when he feels like it, and he often lets Finn take the lead because, well, Jake would rather be napping. So if this is Jake when he's just vibing, what happens when he actually tries? That's what we see in his second form, the wildcard level. Here, he's a creative problem solver with zero boundaries and a sense of humor that borders on chaotic neutral. And when he wants to be clever, his powers stop making sense in the best way possible. Take his disguises. In Mystery Train, Jake plays a full-blown murder mystery villain. He paints his body pink and blue, changes his proportions, and takes on a new voice and personality.
Yeah, hi.
All while hiding in plain sight.
And you're next.
This is something he only explains to Finn later.
You were so busy focused on the murders that you never even noticed.
He's not just transforming, he's acting. He's embodying characters that are entirely separate from himself. Then there's Her Parents, where Jake wants to impress Lady Rainicorn's mom and dad, so he covers himself in ketchup and mustard to become Rainicorn Jake. Is it convincing? No.
Are you going to let us in?
Yeah? I can explain!
Does it work? Somehow, yes.
Oh, Bob, our daughter's finally found a handsome rainicorn to love.
You think I'm a rainicorn?
Or how about in Wizard Battle, where Finn and Jake combine into a single entity called Magic Fist? Jake's arms and legs form the body, and Finn controls the direction, and together they compete in a wizard fighting tournament. And let's not forget the Jake suit. In The Silent King, Jake becomes wearable armor for Finn. But in Jake's suit, Finn takes things too far. He stretches Jake,
Stretchy arm power!
gets splinters in his body, hot tea thrown at him, and basically abuses every inch of his powers from the top rope. It's a rare look at Jake's limits when someone else is controlling his body, and also a warning that Jake's powers are breakable.
You're a little rough with the Jake suit today, bro.
Just rarely pushed that far. But what happens when Jake isn't just playing around? What if he actually gets mad? In Who Would Win, Finn breaks Jake's beloved video game, and Jake snaps. He goes full beast mode, turns giant, starts crushing Finn, and growls,
I'm gonna break every bone in your body, then heal you later with that magical goo we got from the Cyclops' eye!
and he means it. Jake goes from goofball sidekick to terrifying muscle monster in 5 seconds flat, and all it took was a broken game. Even more wild, Jake's body sometimes acts on its own. In Power Animal, when Jake won't wake up to rescue Finn, his stomach literally forms a fist and punches him in the face. His subconscious wants him to act, and his body listens. In fact, Jake's subconscious is its own character. In The Witch's Garden, Jake loses his powers, and his subconscious appears as a translucent, talking version of himself.
Come on, dude. It's the only way to save Finn.
It interacts with him, argues with him, and even fakes his death.
Why are you dying, bro? Because I'm the subconscious of your old magical self. Goodbye, Jake. No.
It's physical, it's emotional, and it's still there even when Jake is powerless. And if you think that's weird, wait until Jake starts believing his own hype. In Gut Grinder, Jake becomes convinced that he's a rampaging monster.
Am I the gut grinder? I must be the gut grinder, and I want gold!
He doesn't just act like one, he literally transforms into it. Spiral eyes, crazy teeth, and a wild look in his eye. It's all in his head, but that's the terrifying part. When Jake believes something hard enough, his body follows. So by this point, Jake's not just a stretchy dog, he's a shape-shifting, emotionally powered, subconscious-driven avatar of chaos with tactical creativity. And we're still nowhere near his final form. Which brings me to the third power level of Jake, pulling back the curtain a little further to reveal his cosmic form. Because Jake isn't just powerful, he's connected to beings who literally run the multiverse. In Wake Up, Jake casually drops into the time room, where Prismo, a cosmic being who grants wishes to anyone who enters, just hangs out like it's a regular Tuesday.
If we hurry, Prismo might still be partying.
Most people who meet Prismo get one wish and they disappear forever from there. But Jake? He gets the guy's number and just teleports there whenever he feels like it. That's not respect, that's cosmic friendship. But then it gets even crazier. In Is That You?, Prismo dies, and Jake brings him back.
Okay, dream.
Not with a spell, not with a time loop, he literally dreams Prismo back into existence.
Well, hats off to you, sir or madame. Your trap was a success.
Just closes his eyes, thinks about him, and boom, Wishmaster restored.
Oh dang, I'm back.
Jake's imagination is so powerful, it can resurrect multiversal entities.
But wait, Jake, that means one of your alternate reality incarnations will sleep for eternity to keep me alive.
And being friends with Prismo is not a one-time thing. Jake doesn't know one cosmic being. He's got a whole god-tier friend group. He chills with the cosmic owl in dreams, who appears during prophetic visions of death.
I love this spot, and that's a fact, but if I stay too long, I get a pruny back.
He parties with the party god in Power Animal, a floating divine beast who grants Jake a wish for just being awesome.
Jake, you have won my favor for being a completely off-the-hook party dog.
He interacts with Grob Gob Globgrod and other Martian-level entities with zero hesitation. Jake is so important, the King of Mars sacrifices his immortality for him.
I need this one back. I offer my immortality.
Jake is just built for cosmic company, what can I say? And that's not even counting his biological dad. In Joshua and Margaret Investigations and Jake the Starchild, we meet Warren Ampersand, a shape-shifting alien who bit Jake's, birth father and created Jake via a parasitic impregnation. Gross? Yes. Important though? Absolutely.
Yowzers!
Hello, Daddy. Hello, Mommy.
Because it means that Jake isn't just magical, he's interdimensional, a fusion of dog DNA and reality-bending goo. And after reconnecting with his dad, Jake gains a new power. He transforms into a blue form with new tiers of strength. But it doesn't stop with Jake. Together with Lady Rainicorn, he has 5 pups. You'd expect them to be cute, but they're not just adorable, they're absurdly powerful. Let's do a rapid-fire breakdown. Viola can fly using her tail and teleports casually. TV creates entire fantasy worlds just by reading a diary. Jake Jr. is a natural leader who can shapeshift with her hair and fly. Kim Kil-hwan can teleport, colorize different objects, and has Jake's stretching abilities, but uses them for real estate domination. And Charlie has inherited her father's shapeshifting abilities and her mother's ability to fly, phase through objects, and teleport from one place to another. Together, these 5 siblings can transform into a super pup. Then you still have 2 offspring left. There's Beth the Pup Princess, who has a magic satchel for a belly button and can teleport across time and space. And then there's Gibbon, one of Jake's distant descendants, still alive generations later, hinting at immortality, or at least extreme longevity. These kids weren't trained. They were born this way. And the only explanation for their powers? Lady Rainicorn and Jake's genes. And even further than his genes, fans have speculated that Jake might be more than just powerful. He might be something closer to a sleeping god, a being whose powers are so innate, so unconscious, that the universe just bends around his imagination. And his descendants? They're the proof. If his kids can do all this without trying, just imagine what Jake could do if he took himself seriously. Which brings us to the final level. A level of unforeseen power levels, one I'd like to call the Dreaming God. It's all explained by what he does in Rainy Day Daydream. In that episode, Jake and Finn are stuck inside during a knife storm. So to pass the time, Jake has an awesome idea.
Ooh, dude, I know something totally rockin' we can do.
Whoa, what?
Let's use our imaginations, man.
He imagines that the floor is lava.
Ah, lava! Lava all around us! Lava on the floor!
Suddenly, the floor becomes lava, even for Finn.
Jake, what the hey?
He imagines an imagination turning off machine, and it appears upstairs. And that also goes for a riddle master, snakes, cute girls, and an invisible monster. But here's the catch. Only Jake can see these things. Finn thought that he was hallucinating until the imaginary stuff hurt him, and that's when you realize Jake doesn't just have a vivid imagination, he has the kind of imagination that can literally alter reality. He creates threats just by thinking about them. He doesn't cast spells, he doesn't chant magic words, he just vibes hard enough, and the universe changes shape around him. And that brings us to Everything's Jake. In this episode, Jake falls into his own body, not metaphorically, literally. He shrinks down, enters his own body, and discovers an entire city made of himself. Buildings, streets, people, all made of Jake, all acting independently, all individually aware. He meets a version of himself inside called Goose.
Come on, man, it's Goose! Your best friend, Goose!
They interact, they bond, they become friends. There's basically an entire world of individual, unique beings living inside of Jake. And it gets more mind-bending. At one point in Adventure Time, the epic movie, Buko explains to Finn, Jake, and Billy that they're looking at a map of the multiverse, with one dimension containing the universe in which they currently reside, to which Jake says, "Enhance!" After which we infinitely zoom into Jake, a continuous, looping, never-ending spiral of Jake within Jake within Jake. No top, no bottom, just Jake, all the way down. And suddenly, the question isn't how strong is Jake, it's how real is anything else? If Jake can dream a person back to life, if he can create cities inside of himself, if he can imagine lava into existence, if his own children can teleport, shapeshift, and carry pocket dimensions in their bellies, if the entire universe is contained within him, then we're not talking about just a magical dog anymore. We're talking about something else on an entirely different level. Could he be Azathoth, the H.P. Lovecraft god who dreams reality into existence? Consider that. Like, at first glance, Jake just seems like a fun, goofy sidekick, but look a little closer and he starts to feel like the fabric of Ooh itself, a being with no limits, because he doesn't even believe in limits. His only weakness is that he doesn't take himself seriously. He's chill, he's lazy, he just wants to nap, play the viola, and beatbox with his kids. But what if that's the only thing keeping Ooh from completely unraveling? Because if Jake ever stopped vibing, if he ever fully realized what he is, what he can do, he might not just be the strongest character in Adventure Time, he might be the reason it exists in the first place. So yeah, Jake's strong. He might even be the god of dreaming reality into existence. But the real question is, how much longer can reality keep up with him? And if you want to see the one moment where Jake does take himself seriously and accepts reality, where he pushes past his chill nature and confronts generational trauma that's been pushed onto him by his dad, check out our video on the episode where Jake breaks the medium.